Okay, let's unpack this. Normally, when you join us for a deep dive, we're slicing into, market forces or breaking down some geopolitical flashpoint.
Or the latest tech disruption.
Exactly. But today's source material, it takes a rare detour. We are looking inward.
Yeah.
We're focusing not on the external systems you navigate, but on the internal psychological habits that govern your decision-making within those systems.
That's right. The source we're unpacking is this incredibly reflective piece. It's titled Luminous Circus Episode 2, Authority, Comfort, and the Quiet Habit of Giving Power Away.
Which is such a great title.
It is, and it's less about global trends and much more about the personal transaction you engage in every single time you seek an answer or a direction.
So our mission today is really to distill the central and I think profound observation from this piece. And it's this. Authority doesn't always show up as domination or some kind of threat. Much more often, authority arrives in your life as pure, welcomed comfort. And the deep question we're exploring is what that relief, what that comfort actually costs you.
What it costs you in terms of your intellectual and really your personal independence. It's an exercise in self-observation. We want to help you notice the internal mechanisms that kick in when you willingly outsource the effort of thinking and synthesizing and judging for yourself.
And this is the twist in the argument that, for me, it compelled us to bring this forward. The initial, really surprising observation.
Yeah.
Authority doesn't necessarily show up with a loud decree. It shows up as immediate relief.
That moment of physical and mental relaxation is
It's
key. The source describes noticing how quickly the body relaxes.
Oh, yeah.
Your shoulders drop, your breathing softens. It happens when someone speaks with absolute certainty, or when a clear, complete system is presented that just claims to explain some complex problem.
We're so trained to seek that feeling.
So intensely trained, we crave that sense of release.
It's that moment where the world, which felt ambiguous just a second ago, is suddenly explained so well that you can finally stop holding the question yourself.
Right.
It's a physiological sigh of relief, really, often before the intellect has even fully processed what was just said.
And this is where we really have to pause, because the source draws a crucial, super nuanced distinction here.
Okay.
We have to ask ourselves honestly, what exactly is relaxing in that moment? Is this relaxation a genuine, deep sense of understanding?
Meaning you've actually connected the dots yourself.
Exactly. You feel the insight internally. Or is it just the immediate, gratifying relief of no longer being responsible for carrying that energy burden of not knowing?
Wow. That reframing, it just flips the script, doesn't it?
Completely.
It means authority often presents itself not as some demand for obedience, but as a deeply desired gift.
A gift.
Clarity delivered way too quickly. An answer that perfectly closes the question before you've really had a chance to live inside the ambiguity and grapple with it.
It's a map promising fewer wrong turns.
And who doesn't want that?
I mean, who doesn't want fewer wrong turns? The emphasis here is on the subtle agency involved. The source repeatedly stresses that this form of authority isn't always imposed on us.
No.
It's not some charismatic leader or dominating institution. Sometimes it is proactively invited. We hand over our power willingly.
Often because we're just exhausted.
Exactly. Exhausted by the mental friction of uncertainty, not because we were forced to surrender our independent thought.
So, okay, if we're the ones sending the invitation for this authority to substitute our own thinking, we have to look really closely at the mechanism. Why?
Why do we send it?
Why are we sending the invitation in the first place?
The piece pinpoints the root cause as, well, purely cognitive exhaustion. Uncertainty is an extremely expensive resource drain.
It's so tiring.
It's so tiring. Holding a difficult question without a resolution. I mean, maintaining presence and patience and the readiness to synthesize contradictory facts, that takes real significant energy.
I mean, think about that in a practical sense. If you're preparing for a major market move, or you're trying to understand a rapidly changing regulatory environment, the sheer effort of processing conflicting data sets is immense. We are wired to welcome the relief when a reputable source offers to hold that complexity for you.
To tell you what it all means.
Yes. Part of you just wants to say yes, because the effort of standing alone and not knowing, even for a few hours, is so taxing.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this drive for immediate certainty is a highly trained response. It's almost addictive.
It is.
And that's the path that paves the way for us to confuse what is merely guidance with what is outright substitution.
And this brings us right to the critical transition points that the source identifies. This is where a dynamic that starts off as helpful,
Like consulting an expert.
right, or reading research,
Sure.
it quietly deteriorates into something detrimental.
Oh.
We need to be able to spot these subtle shifts in our own behavior.
This really raises the challenge for any learner, for you listening right now. At what point does helpful, informed guidance quietly become full substitution?
Where the expert is now doing the thinking for you.
And you just stop doing the critical evaluation.
And what about the related shifts? I mean, when does listening to a respected expert, say, an economic prognosticator, turn into leaning completely on them?
Feeling incapable of forming your own thesis.
And most critically, when does the essential act of learning new facts or methods? When does that turn into letting go entirely of your own necessary judgment about what those facts mean for your life or your business?
That last point is so crucial, and it's where the high-stakes decisions really reside. The difficulty lies in seeking knowledge, which is essential, obviously,
Of course.
without outsourcing the difficult synthesizing effort of discernment. You can gather all the facts about a new tech sector, but if you delegate the hard work of judging its relevance or its risk using your own context, you haven't truly learned.
You've just borrowed an expensive worldview.
That's a great way to put it.
But wait, I need to push back on the source a little bit here. Isn't outsourcing thought necessary sometimes just for efficiency?
Sure.
I mean, if I had to verify the first principles of everything, the engineering behind my phone, the math behind a complex bond, I would literally never leave the house.
Right.
Where does the source draw the line between necessary efficiency and harmful surrender?
And that's the key nuance. The source doesn't condemn efficiency. It targets the habit of giving away power in realms where your personal context and judgment and choice are paramount.
So it's about the domain.
It's about the domain. When you look at your phone's software, you're outsourcing coding. When you rely on a guru to tell you how you should feel about a social issue, you're outsourcing judgment.
I see.
The line is crossed when you choose relief over rigor in areas that fundamentally impact your capacity for self-authorship.
And that difficulty is amplified when we move from seeking simple facts to seeking, meaning or certainty or belonging.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's where the deep persuasive trap of resonance lies.
Yes. Section 3 is a critical deep dive on what the authors call looking for alignment instead of truth. We don't necessarily check whether an idea holds up to scrutiny. We check whether it resonates.
Whether it fits.
Whether it fits with our existing beliefs, our desired identity, or, our current emotional state.
Let's ground that. When we talk about resonance, are we talking about the feeling you get when a political talking point perfectly validates a grievance you already held?
Mm-hmm.
Or when a tech trend confirms your existing excitement about a certain stock? It just feels right.
It feels right, but often only because it acts like an echo chamber.
Precisely. Resonance can be profoundly misleading. It feels right simply because it perfectly agrees with what we subconsciously wanted to believe anyway.
Or, and this might be more dangerous, because it seethes an unwanted fear. Don't worry, my system shows this asset is perfectly safe.
Right.
Or, most insidiously, it provides that warm, fuzzy feeling of belonging to a tribe that confidently claims to have figured everything out.
This means we absolutely have to rigorously separate the two ideas we've been discussing, comfort and clarity.
They're not the same thing.
Not at all. Comfort is the immediate seductive relaxation we seek to remove friction.
Whereas clarity often asks more of us, not less. Clarity is high friction.
That's a great phrase.
It requires slowing down, staying with discomfort longer, and sometimes realizing that the truth requires a complete overhaul of your existing view. Clarity often means accepting complexity, not eliminating it.
That concept of friction is huge. The source argues that so much of modern culture, whether it's spiritual advice or technological solutions or even certain therapeutic frameworks, is built specifically around this cultural mandate to remove friction.
Think about it. Friction removal is the ultimate cultural product. We are constantly marketed systems, apps, and philosophies that promise to eliminate ambiguity.
To pre-filter doubt.
To pre-filter doubt, remove effort, and streamline our internal lives so we never have to wonder if we made the right choice. Our feeds are personalized to remove opposing viewpoints.
Algorithms decide what matters.
Yeah, removing the effort of discernment for us.
And we have to ask the critical question the source poses. What is the compounding personal cost of this pervasive cultural trend? What happens to a person when the difficult, challenging effort of self-reliance is constantly being sold off?
Well, it leads directly to the ultimate consequences of outsourcing thought and direction. And these are encapsulated by 3 core questions in the source material.
And these aren't minor philosophical points.
No, not at all. They're questions about personal integrity and, frankly, sustained competence.
So the first question, it addresses capacity. What happens to one's fundamental capacity to choose if one gets perpetually used to being guided?
Choice is a muscle. It really is. If the path, the answer, or the recommended action is always named for you by an external system,
Whether it's a person or an algorithm.
right, a confident advisor or an algorithmic suggestion, that muscle atrophies.
Yeah.
And when a truly novel, complex decision arises, that learned helplessness kicks in.
You don't know what to do.
You find yourself capable only of looking for the next authority to tell you what to do instead of flexing your own decision-making capacity.
Okay, and the second question focuses on filtering reality. What happens to discernment, the critical ability to tell true from false or relevant from irrelevant, if we just place our reliance on external systems to decide what matters?
If you rely on an algorithm to filter your news, or an authority figure to filter complex data, your own internal filters become dull and inefficient.
They get lazy.
They get lazy. So when the external filter fails, when the market suddenly shifts or the consensus collapses, you lack the tools to process the unfiltered reality yourself. You become vulnerable,
Vulnerable to the nice, confident voice that provides that immediate certainty.
even if that certainty is deeply, deeply flawed.
And finally, the third question. This one, it cuts right to the core of identity. What happens to dignity if a sense of direction or purpose or identity always comes from outside?
Personal dignity is so fundamentally tied to self-authorship. That profound feeling that you are the primary director of your own life, and that you understand reality on your own terms, even if those terms are incomplete.
And when that authorship is consistently surrendered for the sake of comfort.
The source suggests dignity is diminished. You may have success, wealth, or status, but internally you lack a true center.
These are not easy questions, and the source is smart enough not to offer easy answers or some new dogma.
Well, if it did, it would just become another authority figure, right?
Exactly. It would be a total contradiction. So instead, it shifts the focus perfectly, moving from the problem to a concrete internal practice, something we can adopt immediately.
Exactly. The proposed solution isn't a prescriptive set of rules. It's a commitment to a specific, high-friction practice.
Which is?
The practice of noticing.
Noticing. Noticing when you are strongly drawn to certainty, that physical relaxation we talked about at the beginning. Noticing the moment you realize you desperately want someone else to name reality for you, whether it's your financial future or your moral perspective.
And this one is crucial. Noticing when you mistake sheer confidence in a voice for inherent truth.
That's a big one.
It is. This practice of noticing, it creates a small but incredibly powerful internal pause. That vital moment of friction.
A circuit breaker.
It is. It allows you to interject before that authority for comfort transaction is complete. And in that pause, you get a chance to ask yourself, quietly, where is the power being given away right now? And is it out of necessity or simply because it feels easier?
That small act of reclamation is everything. It's the moment we choose the higher effort of clarity over the temporary relief of comfort.
Yes.
It is the practice of staying present in the uncomfortable question and knowing that the hard-won answer, even if it's incomplete, is ultimately your own.
The central tension we've distilled from this deep dive really remains that trade-off. The immediate temporary comfort of certainty versus the long-term compounding integrity of independent judgment.
So we'll leave you with the final open-ended question from our source material. Take this with you into your day, into your next professional decision, your next moment of doubt, and really sit with the implications. What would it mean to take just a small piece of that surrendered power back today? We'll leave that open for your reflection.